There's an article, I saw a TikTok. TikToks are very informative these days, right? This article says top 5 most stressful events in life and how to handle them. So the first one is death of a loved one. Second one is divorce. And the third one is moving. So I know how stressful it could be to move, especially when it's kind of alone and you're going to a new place that you don't know. It's very scary. It's very anxiety provoking. So I know for me, I would have loved to see a video that kind of shared the experience. Like for example, like I remember the day that we were supposed to start driving, that morning, we gave our family a hug. And as we were driving out of the cul-de-sac that our parents live in, Lois and I both immediately started bawling our eyes out. I've never cried that hard in my life, but for both of us, it was like simultaneous. Like, what's up, everyone? So it's a nice, gloomy Saturday here in Georgia. So for those of you who don't know, back in April of 2021, my wife and I, we packed everything that we owned in our tiny little Prius and moved all the way across the country to Atlanta, Georgia. And we did all of that on a 3-week notice. Yeah. So everything from decision to execution, we did it all in 3 weeks. And I thought I'd take this chill day to share with you guys how much it cost us and how much it would potentially cost you if you were thinking about potentially doing a move from the west to the east or vice versa, east to the west. This video is gonna be both good for you and me. It's gonna be good for me because my memory is absolute trash, and I know that in 10 years time, when I tell this story again, it'll be wildly different. So the best thing that I could do for myself and for everybody else is to memorialize it now so that it's set in stone and I could always refer back to it. And for you especially, because this might give you a general rough ballpark of how much you can expect to pay. So ultimately, depending on how you do this move, it could save you a couple G's or it can add on a couple G's. But at the same time, spending those extra G's could actually be better and more worth it in some scenarios. So before we start, my name is Alex. My wife's name is Lois. She's not here right now. So this video is gonna be split up into like 6 categories. These are the 6 things that I had to take into consideration when doing the move. But before I do that, I'm gonna give you a little bit of context as to our situation. That's gonna explain our first and honestly biggest expense into this whole crazy move. When Lois and I did this move, we were living in downtown Los Angeles. Not the nice part, kind of right next to Chinatown. People who live in LA know that downtown LA is kind of Anyways, we had just gotten married 6 months prior. We were pretty much broke. I had no job. I actually got fired from my job right after I got married, like the month after I got married. It wasn't really even a job. I was just tutoring and I was getting paid really well. And I was sad that I lost a job. And my wife, Lois, she was straight out of her master's program. So neither of us were working at the time. Thankfully, I had saved up the prior year about 4 to 6 months worth of, I guess, an emergency fund for us to survive off of. So taking all that into consideration, we try to do this as cheaply as possible. Okay, the first category, I'm gonna call this the apartment situation. So firstly, when we decided to pack up our lives and move across the country to Georgia, we were 6 months in to our 12-month lease agreement. We lived in a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and we got it at COVID prices. The same exact apartment, it is going for, oh, there's a couple. The cheapest one you're gonna get is $2,900, and on the higher end, it's gonna be $3,200. We were paying $2,000, so that's a huge difference. Not to mention that we got a lot of concessions up front to sign the lease. Our concessions were that we would get free parking and 2 free months of rent. That was huge. This is kind of important because this kind of correlates to the penalty that we had to pay when we broke the lease early. And typically when you want to break a lease early, there's an early termination clause in your contract. I didn't really pay attention to it too much because when I first signed the contract, I didn't know that I was going to move across the country. So yeah, we signed the 12-month lease, not really caring too much about the early termination, but that kind of came to bite us in the butt. Remember, I want to show you guys the clause, okay? Essentially what we had to do was pay the termination fee, which is specified in the lease, which is 1 month's rent, and all the moving concessions. And the total ended up being $6,022.50. $6,022.50. That's a lot of money.
Hell no!
I want to stress this because I want you to understand, okay? I was broke. I was dead broke. You're probably wondering, why would you get married if you're broke then and didn't have a job, Alex? Well,
that's love.
Boom, 6,000 gone. That's like pretty much more than half of what I had saved in my bank account. So at this point, I'm feeling the pressure. But remember, this situation is very specific to me. Most of you guys aren't gonna be in this kind of situation. And I just wanna let you guys know in advance, this was probably our biggest expense. I didn't know going into this that I was gonna be having to drop, just straight up give away $6,000 right off the bat. But for me, it made sense because the move across the country, I felt like there was better opportunity for me. Now on to the next part. This is the stuff situation. So luckily, we had just gotten married 6 months prior to the move, and that means that we didn't have that much time to really start hoarding anything, right? We had the essentials like a bed, nightstands, couch, TV, dining table, those kinds of things. So as I was reaching out to a bunch of moving companies to potentially get all of our stuff from LA to, Georgia, I learned two very, very important things. One, moving is freaking as expensive. And two, there's a lot of moving companies that are gonna try and scam you and take as much money as possible from you during this whole process. So what I mean by this, the estimates we were getting range anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. And for me, that sounded kind of ridiculous, like $3,000 to $5,000 to send my bed, couch, dining table, and TV and stuff like that. My stuff isn't even worth that much money. I would just throw it all away and buy new things, and it would be cheaper than how much it costs to freaking ship things. There was one company that we were planning on going with. We told them everything that we want to take, and they gave us a quote over the phone for about $2,500. Let's call this person that we kind of connected with Denise. Let's call her Denise, okay? During this whole process, I was doing everything I can to make sure that everything was in order. I was doing my due diligence, and I was just doing more research on moving companies. As I was doing my research, I read a lot of the reviews, and it says,
Denise was very nice at first, but the number she gives you on the phone is a lie. The movers will come in the day you're supposed to move and tell you they won't do the job unless you pay an extra $3,000.
I learned and realized these companies, they'll give you a code over the phone, and they'll schedule the move for the last day of your lease, right? They'll come on that day and they'll tell you, oh, you know what? This is a lot more and a lot bigger than we expected. Actually, the real quote is gonna be $5,000. And you're kind of put in a position where either you pay them or you pay the landlord to extend your lease a couple days for you to figure out how to move your stuff out. It's just a really bad situation. At the end of the day, you want to be very careful as to who you pick. Get referrals, go with people that you know, other people who've tried, right? After all of that, Lois and I actually just decided to sit there and do all the math, and we realized because our furniture is not even worth that much money, let's sell half of it. Let's store the rest of it in our parents' garage. Our stuff is still there, and I still feel kind of bad about it. Sorry, Mom and Dad, I know you guys are watching this. And we decided, you know what? It just makes more sense to buy furniture while we're in Georgia. So in that way, we actually saved a lot of money because, again, sold all our stuff, so we actually got some money back and we stored the rest of it. Okay, so on to the next part, which is the housing situation, or more the hotel situation. We tried our best to drive from Los Angeles, California to Atlanta, Georgia as fast as possible without literally putting our lives in danger, right? We don't want to drive for 36 hours straight. We definitely would not have made it. And we calculated that amount to be 4 days of driving, which means 3 nights of hotel stays. And the 3 places that we stayed were Albuquerque, New Mexico, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and Nashville, Tennessee.
Sorry, there's...
Shut up, Siri. So for our hotel in New Mexico, we stayed in a Hampton Inn, and the total with all of the taxes and fees, we paid $102.07. For our Oklahoma City hotel, we stayed at a Hyatt. Oh, and also look here, we actually got this for 15% off. Oh wow, we got it really cheap. We got it for $88.40. And our Nashville, Tennessee hotel, we got this for $116.60. Can you guys hear that dog? I'm so sorry. It's the upstairs neighbor. Their dog all day, every day just goes bonkers. The total comes out to not too bad, I don't think. So what did we do about food? During the drive, we weren't eating at any bougie restaurants, but we did make it a point to stop at cute little places here and there, like cafes and stuff like that. That Lois would find because she really enjoys going to those places. The spiciest thing I've ever had in my life.
Hurry.
So taking into consideration like snacks, coffee, lunch, dinner, and little pit stops here and there while we were driving, I would roughly estimate that we spent around $100 a day. And the total for that would be $400 for all 4 days. So how much did we pay for gas? Thankfully, we have a Prius. It has its issues, it's old, but it's been serving our family for so long and it's been getting the job done. Gas on my Prius is like so good. So every time we fill up, it's anywhere from $20 to $23. The total trip from downtown LA to Atlanta, Georgia is around 2,200 miles. And my car adjusted for reality because the number that it says that it's gonna go, it never actually goes that amount. I would say on a full tank of gas, it takes us around 340 miles on one full tank. So that means we filled up roughly 6.5 times, which means the total for gas is $150 on gas for 4 days, 2,200 miles. I'm happy with it. So obviously we couldn't take everything that we own into our car. So we did have to ship a couple things. So how much did that cost? There were a few things that we could not take in our car and we did not want to rebuy when we got to Georgia. The biggest thing that we had to ship was actually a 55-inch television. Literally just gotten this a couple months ago, so we were like, okay, to store it or sell it and get another one, let's just ship it through UPS or something. That alone cost around $120. And to ship smaller miscellaneous things, like we had a couple extra boxes we couldn't fit in our car that we had to ship. And I think we shipped roughly around 4 to 5 boxes. I can't find the receipts for that anywhere. I think it might have been because my father-in-law paid for it. I don't remember, but if you did, father-in-law, thank you so much. Thanks, Dad. But I want to estimate that costs around $200 to send 4 medium-sized boxes, medium to large-sized boxes. So shipping through UPS or USPS or whatever it was, I would say roughly cost an extra $320. So that's everything. Taking into consideration the breaking of the lease, the hotel situation, the food, the gas, the shipping of miscellaneous items, all into account, the total cost of our move from downtown Los Angeles to Atlanta, Georgia was roughly $7,199.57. Now, maybe to be more accurate to the general public, let's say we take out the breaking of the lease cost, right? Because that was the biggest expense. If you just take out that and you're not in the situation that I was, the actual total will have been $1,177.07. Oh man, looking at these numbers, man, that's a lot of money. So there you go. This is exactly roughly the amount that we spent to move from downtown Los Angeles to Atlanta, Georgia, where we're currently at right now. Thank you again, guys, so much for watching. If you guys found this remotely helpful or entertaining, consider subscribing or liking the video. Really helps me out, I think. I don't know how YouTube works. Appreciate it. Peace.